This is WAAY 31 Law Call.
Good evening and welcome to WAAY 31 Law Call. I'm Sharon Doviet. Tonight it's Ask Us Anything night, so call in your questions on anything from car accidents to 4th of July parties and what happens if something with the fireworks goes wrong. Are you responsible? Any kind of legal question, call in, be live on the air with us, 256-536-0077, or you can text your question to that same number. We've got some text coming in that we will answer tonight. And you can always email a question on any legal topic on any day of the week. You send it to lawcall@waaytv.com. And when we get to a show that's on point, we pull some out. We've got some of your email questions tonight. We've also got Heath Brooks from Timberlake League. And Brooks, good to have you here.
Very good to be here.
4th of July, such a fun time. We're going to talk about 4th of July injuries and things. Normally we start off the show with our You Make the Law Call video. Tonight we're going to talk about another party. Y'all are having another party.
You know, it is at once every 4 years. We have the World Cup, and we are all at my office big soccer fans. So, you know, like a couple of weeks ago, we shut down the street.
Yes.
I think we had 3,000 or 4,000 people
Yes.
there. It was insane. We're going to do it again. Not very often the U.S. breaks out of their group. We won the group. We're in the next round. It's going to be exciting.
That would be great. Okay, so 6 p.m. warm-up and block party, 7 p.m. is the kickoff right there on Holmes Avenue 125. And it's free. Show up and just have a good time.
Right in front of our office.
Okay.
Yep.
Let's talk a little bit as we get some of your calls in. 4th of July coming up. All right, everybody's buying fireworks, shooting things off. Do you have any kind of warnings about neighborhood parties? And, you know, there are laws in most cities about don't shoot off fireworks. If you shoot something off and you injure somebody or you cause a fire, I mean, there can be some serious repercussions.
You know, there's so many things to worry about on the 4th of July. I mean, you've got people on the road that are on the road drunk, driving. You know, you got to keep your head on a swivel that way. Don't do that. Then the nighttime comes and we all want to have fun and shoot off fireworks. Don't point them at each other. You know, don't hold them in your hands. You know, it's crazy when you have to tell your children, don't light a firework with it in your hand so that you can just watch it shoot. And there are some exceptions to that, but
for the most part, it's not a good idea.
No,
you have to tell adults that too.
Stay away, and you know they can be pretty dangerous. I mean, some of these fireworks are enormous.
Yeah.
You know they can malfunction. And we've had situations where fireworks have malfunctioned, where they've gone a direction they don't need to go, and you could potentially have a products liability case here, you know, an injury case where you've handled those kinds of things. But the big deal is be safe with them. Make sure you know who's lighting them. They know what they're doing. They haven't been drinking. They're in a good state of mind, because they can be dangerous. You know, I'll tell you a story. We used to have a big fireworks display at Weiss Lake.
Okay.
Every year, my family, big family reunion, bunch of people there, we'd have a fireworks display. And I had an uncle, and everybody's got an uncle. I had an uncle like this who liked to get on the end of the dock, and he would be the one to light all the fireworks, and occasionally he'd spend the day drinking more than he probably should have before he starts lighting these fireworks. So this one year, we're getting the fireworks going, whole family around. There's 70, 75 people there. Everybody's got their bag of fireworks that, you know, they brought to contribute to the pile. Well, my uncle sets off the first one, which goes directly into the pile of bags of fireworks. And you have never seen 85-year-old folks move as quick as they did at that time as those fireworks were going all over the place. It was insane.
Everybody okay?
Everybody was okay. We all made it.
Everybody's got an uncle. You're right.
So lesson is keep the other fireworks away from the ones you're shooting off. You know, make sure to keep kids away.
Absolutely.
You know, keep the kids away.
I'm surprised how many stores are selling them inside the store now.
That's right.
Even the box stores.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, we've got some of your text messages coming in, and call in 536-0077. Got in a text question. At my wit's end, my neighbor built up his property with dirt and is causing my property to flood and is destroying everything. Okay, if I do something on my property and it affects, I haven't touched your property, but we're right side by side.
Right.
Can I be sued over what I've done, or if what I've done is causing damage? What can we do?
There's a couple of different things there. One is it's a potential trespass.
Okay.
So most of us think of as trespass as I am going onto someone else's property and I don't have the right to be on someone else's property, and so I'm trespassing. Right? I do damage, that person can bring an action for trespass or whatever, but that's not always what trespass is. Trespass can also be chemicals. can also be water.
Okay.
Can also be any sort of dust, any sort of thing that leaves your neighbor's property or someone else's property and comes onto your property when it doesn't when you didn't give permission to allow that substance to be on your property. So, if you're redirecting water from one property to another, that can be a trespass.
Okay.
It can also be negligence. It can also be a nuisance. And so there's a lot of different legal theories there to prevent somebody from doing what that is.
Okay.
Oftentimes what you got to do is first things first, try to work it out with your neighbor.
Okay.
See if you can make that work. If you can't, you're likely going to need a lawyer. Okay. The lawyer's likely going to have to file an injunction, a temporary injunction, to try to get the water to stop, to change it back to the way it was. Sometimes you got to litigate those things all the way to a jury trial.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
you know.
Take pictures if you can, right?
That's
Video
right.
the next
Absolutely.
time it rains.
Yep.
We've got callers waiting. We've got Bethel on the line with a question from Franklin County, Tennessee. Hi, Bethel. Thanks for calling. What's your question tonight?
My question is, why is it legal for people to refuse cash money?
Ooh, tell me now. Don't tell me like the name of a person or a store or something. But what circumstances is this happening in?
I went to a hospital to get surgery,
Okay.
and they refused cash money. So I had to drive around town at 5:30 in the morning till I could find a place to buy a money order before I could get surgery performed.
Wow. That's very interesting. Very interesting.
I hate to hear that, and I don't know that there shouldn't be a law where if you're going to if you're going to conduct business, you have to take cash, and that's the legal tender of the United States. But there's no law that requires a company to accept cash. So, why that is, I don't know. Probably we need to ask our legislatures that question. Should it be legal? That's one of those things that will be debated, and certainly in your situation, it would have helped you out a lot. And it's legal tender. So,
Bethel, you still with us? Would they have taken a check, or would they have taken a credit card or something? Just not cash?
I don't have a credit card.
Yeah, and lots of folks don't. Okay, so they would have taken some other things, but they're just absolutely not going to take cash money. Very interesting. Okay, thank you. We've got Howie on the line with a question from Huntsville. Hi, Howie. Thanks for calling. What's your question tonight?
Yeah, I own a rental house here in Huntsville, and I'm trying to find out if I put the house.
Uh-oh, I think we lost you. If you put the house, what, Howie? I think we've lost him. Howie, are you still with us? We'll try and get him back. We got in an email question. This was from Nima. Nima wrote in and said, is there any kind of standard compensation for a dog bite in the leg? It was a mean dog that was not on a leash, bit me in the leg twice. I did go to the doctor and I had to have stitches. Is it reasonable to ask the owner to compensate me or pay damages? Seems like to me.
Yeah, and there's dog bites in the state of Alabama can be very difficult to pursue. There are some laws that protect folks that have been bitten by dogs on both a state level and a local level.
Okay.
The city of Huntsville adopted a leash ordinance where you've got to keep your dog under control and on a leash. But the state of Alabama, if the dog comes on someone else's property and bites that person, then you can be entitled to medical bills. Oftentimes you don't get above that medical bill type of damage unless you have a little bit more. For instance, if that dog has the fancy legal term is dangerous propensities, has that dog exhibited aggressive behavior towards other people and sometimes other dogs, bitten a bunch of other dogs, if that dog has, there's a one bite rule in the state of Alabama. You get out of jail free for one bite. After that, then you as an owner, if that dog bites someone else, then you can be responsible for all types of damages, both the medical bills. You could be responsible for lost wages if that person has to lose time. Oftentimes dog bites cause terrible scarring. You can be responsible for that permanent injury. They call that disfigurement. You could be responsible for pain and suffering, mental anguish, both future, present, past.
Wow.
So these kinds of dog bites can be pretty terrible situations. You know, we don't want to think that somebody's pet will attack you, but it happens.
It happens.
More time than we like to admit. There is a one breed in the state of Alabama that automatically, if that dog bites another person, even if it hasn't bitten somebody before, it's considered a dangerous breed, and that's a pit bull. Now, a lot of people don't agree with that,
Right.
but that's what the
That's
law
the
is
law.
in the state of Alabama, so we have to, you know, abide by the law. So they can be complicated situations. It's not an easy one answer, you know, you're entitled to X. It's going to depend upon the factors of the history of the dog, where the attack happened, and what type of breed it is.
Okay. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. We're going to talk about the new ruling from the Supreme Court about Roundup a little bit, too. Stay with us.
which pays an advertising fee to this station.
You're watching WAAY 31 Law Call, the Tennessee Valley's only live legal call-in show for 30 years and counting. Presented by the award-winning personal injury and wrongful death law firm Timberlake, League & Brooks, featuring the knowledge and experience of attorney Michael Timberlake, attorney Will League, attorney Heath Brooks, attorney William Meservey, attorney Bobby Marsh, and hosted by family law attorney Sharon Doviet. Your rights, your calls, live. This is WAAY 31 Law Call.
Welcome back to 31 Law Call. Heath Brooks is here from Timberlake, League & Brooks. We're answering all kinds of legal questions tonight. Before we get started, we wanted to show a little bit. Everybody's been having great vacation time. Man,
That's right.
The weather is something. Where did you take your family this past week?
So we go to Amelia Island every year, which is the northernmost most coastal islands off of the coast of Florida.
Fun.
So that was my daughter and my nephew searching for shark's teeth, and this is
Did you
me and my
find
mom.
any?
We did. These are the beautiful sunsets or sunrises.
Spectacular. Beautiful.
That's a turtle nest with the sea oats behind it.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
I know you're very
Another
outdoorsy. You and your family
another
love to do
sunrise.
outdoorsy things.
Yeah, we do. Those are shark's teeth.
You found
So-
all of those? How big are those?
Those are, some of them are a couple of centimeters. So, one's about couple of inches. We found them. I mean, you can find what's called megalodon teeth on that beach. We've always looked for those, but great white sharks. But those are all fossils. So they're anywhere from, 15,000 years old to 23 million years old, and they wash up on the beach. It's
very interesting.
You can find all kinds of. You can find camel teeth. You can find bone, all kinds of things, all kinds
Amelia
of
Island.
fossils.
Need to take a trip.
Yeah.
The Supreme Court came out with several decisions this week.
right.
One of them may affect some of you. It's about the Roundup. So a lot of people have brought lawsuits claiming that Roundup has caused them different types of cancers, right?
Right. And
What is
so,
this?
Well, Roundup is the name of the product that was manufactured by a company called Monsanto.
Okay.
The active ingredient in Roundup that causes the plants to die is called glyphosate. And for years, there have been studies by various scientists that have indicated that glyphosate causes various types of cancers. So, as a result of that, lawsuits are filed against Monsanto because, and this is particularly in the farming community or in the lawn care community where glyphosate is used on a daily basis, you know, and it gets all over the skin and things of that nature. It was particularly brought by those types of people against Monsanto for cancers. So one of the types of claims that would be brought is called a failure to warn claim.
Okay.
And that's the important part for the Supreme Court. So what the plaintiff said is, hey, look, Monsanto, you should have warned me that this product, when I use it, could cause me cancer. Okay. And because you didn't follow your responsibility to warn me, then I didn't have a decision to make about whether I used this product.
Okay.
And so I got cancer. I wouldn't have gotten cancer had you just told me.
Like labels, like put a label on it.
A label on it that says this product could cause cancer. We see them, you know, this product causes cancer
Yeah.
from California warning
Yeah,
labels
yeah.
and things. In any event, so what ended up happening is his case went all the way to jury trial, and a jury found in his favor. A jury found in his favor for $1.5 million, gave it to him for the cancer that he got. Monsanto appealed, and this appeal went all the way to the Supreme Court of the United States. And what the Supreme Court said, they took away the jury verdict, and they said that the plaintiff had made state law claims of a failure to warn, but the federal government is in charge of determining whether or not there needs to be a warning label on a product. And the Environmental Protection Agency had indicated that glyphosate did not need to carry a warning label. Okay. And so because the federal government said there was no need to warn,
okay.
then you can't bring a state law claim claiming that you aren't warned.
Okay.
So it's a situation where the federal government goes over the top of the state government.
Okay.
And that's what happened. And they call that preemption. That's the fancy legal term.
Does that mean all the Roundup cases are going away?
No, it does not.
Okay.
You could, it's just those claims that involve a failure to warn. You could still bring an action against Monsanto if their product caused you cancer and you can prove it. You know, that's those types of claims are not going away. It's the ones that where you were in Idaho and you sued under an Idaho statute that said, hey, Monsanto, you didn't warn us about this. Federal government's going to come in and say, hey, look, we said you didn't need to.
Interesting. Okay. We've got callers. We've got Judy on the line with a question from Rainsville. Hi, Judy. Thanks for calling. What's your question tonight?
Yes, I had foot surgery back in January, and it was supposed to be disposable stitches, and there wasn't, and I ended up pulling out, I call it fishing line.
Ooh.
And I've had to go back to the doctor, and I had to have an MRI done again. And the doctor tells me that there's nothing wrong, and he wants to go back and do surgery just to see what's, because he don't even have a clue. So what should I do?
Oh, boy.
Okay, Judy. Well, you know, first off, it's difficult. I don't know what your history is, but besides what you're telling me, which is you had a surgery, there were some complications of that surgery, maybe some stitches that shouldn't have been used, a top of stitches shouldn't have been used, were retained, and now the doctor wants to go back into your foot and explore around. And I call that exploratory surgery. You know, from just taking off the lawyer hat for a minute, from a advice perspective, you know, probably want to go get a second opinion about that. Go to another podiatrist, get a second opinion about what decision you should make. I mean, I always think when you're going into some big decision like that, particularly when surgery is involved, it doesn't hurt you, and it's likely if you got insurance, it's not going to cost you a nickel to go get a second opinion about whether or not you should move forward. Maybe another doctor sees something different. Maybe he doesn't. But in terms of any kind of potential claim you may have against the surgeon, you know, in the state of Alabama, pretty difficult to bring medical malpractice claims. But if you could prove that the doctor using that type of stitch breached the standard of care, meaning no other doctors would have used that type of stitch on your surgery aside from in the rest of the country, then you may be able to prove that he was medically negligent in causing you to have a second surgery and whatever comes from that. So there is a potential there. It's just a difficult situation, but I get a second opinion.
Okay. She's got to be harmed by it too,
Correct.
right?
That's right.
If he said I used disposable stitches, but he didn't,
Right.
that's not a harm.
Right.
That's not necessarily medical
Well,
malpractice.
it could be a harm because if there's another surgery that requires the removal of those
Okay.
stitches,
Okay.
or and I've dealt with situations where there have been other surgeries where that type of stitch is not supposed to be used, and you have to take it out, and it causes great pain.
Okay.
They can't get all the stitches out, and in and of itself, it causes pain. So there could be a potential harm there.
Thank you, Judy. Good luck with it. We got in a text question. What is a family's responsibility to stop an elderly driver when their doctor says it may no longer be safe? Okay, is it my responsibility to stop my family member?
Well, it depends upon who has the keys.
Okay.
Okay, so let's say this elderly family member owns their own vehicle, and you don't have any control of the keys. You don't have any control of the vehicle that's at your elderly family member's house. They take the car, they drive, they get in a wreck. You're not responsible for that. You can't take the keys from someone legally. Now, if you own the car, or if you control the car and you give the keys to the elderly person, you could be giving them a dangerous instrumentality. Okay. You could be responsible. It's kind of like handing a 5-year-old a gun that doesn't ever have have an experience with that. So I mean, there's a situation where you may be responsible, but in terms of stopping an elderly driver from driving when you do not own the car or reside with the person, there's not much you can do in that circumstance, unfortunately.
Gotcha. Did we get Howie back? We were trying to get Howie back. Okay, sorry, nope, we don't. Somebody's written in asking, is there a law or legal recourse regarding how long a house in a town can remain vacant, falling apart, and unkept before the city can take ownership of that?
Absolutely there is, yeah. A city can condemn a house.
Okay.
So in every city or county sometimes has different, because not all houses obviously in a city, have different rules on how long and how unkempt a house may be before it is condemned. And there's a process that a city has to go by. City of Huntsville has a process. I'm not sure what the amount of time is, but the City of Huntsville, if you don't keep your yard up, will send, after a certain period of time, we'll send you a letter that says there's a law that you have to upkeep your yard and you need to do it within 30 days or the city's going to come out and do it for you and charge you. That happens. But if the house is not being upkept, becomes dilapidated, dangerous, a city can come in and condemn it. And then there's certain action to get it removed.
We got in an email question from Ann. Ann said, I had 2 roommates who lived at my house. We had a large falling out. They were moving out, so I put all their stuff in the driveway, and I've got pictures of it all sitting out in the driveway. The next day, they came by and picked up 3/4 of their items. I've got video of them loading their vehicles. Now they claim there are still thousands of dollars in personal effects that I didn't give them. Not true, but they've threatened to take me to court. How can I protect myself? Woo!
Here's the thing, and I do this, and I'm going to give this just as a general rule. I always, for insurance purposes, I always take pictures of all the stuff that's in my property. Once a year, I mean, it's New Year's Eve or New Year's Day, I go around and I take pictures, just to ensure that if my house burns down, if a tornado takes it down, I can go to the insurance company and I can say, here you go.
This is how lawyers live in secret.
Yeah, it's the way it is. But that's one thing that you could do to protect yourself.
Okay.
Take pictures.
Okay.
Take pictures.
They've got to prove it, right?
They got to prove it.
They can take you to court.
Yeah.
They could take you to court even if they made it all up. But they have to prove it.
They do have to prove it. They got to file a lawsuit. They got to take it to court. But it's really easy to prevent that if you know what you have.
That's good. That's good. We got that one. They're telling us to take a quick break. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back answering more of your questions. Stay with us.
Brooks, which pays an advertising fee to this station.
If you did get your questions answered tonight, here's how to get in touch with Heath Brooks with Timberlake, League & Brooks in Huntsville, 256-536-0770 or 800-804-2502. The website is law-injury.com. And if you like them on Facebook, you can learn more about the law that way.
And Sharon does family law, that's child custody, divorces, and the like. She can be reached at 256-539-7337 or www.sharonfamilylaw.com.
We got the watch party that's coming up this week,
yeah.
so if you want to come join on Wednesday night out in front of the law firm.
You know, this is going to be a great time. All of the local restaurants will be open and rolling. You know, so we'll all be having a good time. Hopefully, we'll get to watch the U.S. beat Bosnia-Herzegovina.
That's going to be a good night. It's going to be hot, so
it will be hot.
Bring cold drinks.
Last thing I'll say: pool safety. Keep your gates closed with kids around the pools. Make sure you keep an eye on them. We have to deal with that every year, and it's a horrible nightmare scenario. So just be safe out there.
Happy 4th. We'll see you next week.